Hey guys, this is the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for April 18th, 2024. We're going to be doing some 2024 NFL draft rumors with the draft being about a week away. It's as of 8 o'clock tonight, it's going to be a week exactly. So feel so underprepared here as I usually do. It's like the same thing every year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just gonna be a lot of work ahead, and I thought that we dive into some of the latest rumors that I posted on the site. You may have seen the link this morning. There's some new stuff added as well. So yeah, we're gonna get into all that. Starting a little bit late here tonight. I actually was planning to start at like 10:45, and as soon as I was setting everything up, my daughter woke up, and so I had to feed her and get her back to sleep and whatnot. So yeah, she's asleep now. Hopefully for the rest of the night, we'll see. She's hit this major sleep regression. She used to sleep like so well. I don't know what happened to her in the past couple of weeks, but she's hasn't slept well since then. I think I jinxed myself because I was like kind of like saying it on the show. I'm like, wow, I can't believe how well my daughter's sleeping. And yeah, ever since I said that, she hasn't been sleeping well. So yeah, hopefully the sleep regression ends during the week of the draft. That'd be great. Yeah, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that mean a lot to us. If you really want to help support the show, there's super chats, super stickers. We've had some great ones. Kevin Kovac yesterday had like $30 worth of super chats or super stickers, and all that was really appreciated. Degeneron with $2. Last week we had Slew. John Sanders, we had Carmen. So like all that was so helpful because I like YouTube ads just pay nothing. I say this all the time. It was like $1.13 was the last time. It was like the last is what we made the last time we didn't have like super chats or super stickers on the show. So it just goes to show you how bad YouTube ads are. Like I was actually like walking to the car today to drive my son to swim lessons, and I saw a dime on the street. I wasn't gonna pick it up, but like I was like, man, this is like 1/10 of what we make on these shows if we don't get super chats, super stickers, which is like kind of sad. So yeah, only 10 more of those, and I would have paid for it, or 11, I guess 11 more. So, all right. Also, we are brought to you by me. I wrote this book. It's called Jerks of the College Years. It's available on Amazon. Yeah, if you guys like Jerks of the Week on the site, you may enjoy this. I think you will. I've heard nothing but positive feedback from it, and I guess like people who didn't hate it, people who hated it wouldn't tell me, right? But I mean, like unprompted, people would be like, "Wow, this is awesome." So, um, it's a bunch of my stories from my college years. I spent 6 years at Penn State, which you can imagine was kind of nuts. I didn't go crazy my first few years. It's because like I talked about it in the book, but like in my final few years, like I'd go out like 4 nights a week and just have a lot of fun. I met so many crazy people, as you can see on the cover here. Just ran into a bunch of weirdos that I wrote about. So yeah, so all that's available in the book, Jerks of the College Years. It's another way to help support the site. And yeah, like I said, if you like Jerks of the Week, you might like this. So all right, so I'll get into the rumors now. If you guys have any comments or questions, just leave them in the chat. It doesn't have to be about this, of course. I'm solo here tonight, so I'll answer anything because you know I always feel bad like when we have like something political come up and like I've a guest on, I mean, or a co-host, like either Jacob or Tom or Kenny, like, and those guys can get in trouble. I can't get in trouble, so like I'll answer anything because I'm solo. So um all right, so we're gonna go in draft order here. And the Bears, this is just added, by the way. So this isn't about their first pick; it's about their ninth pick. So Tony Pauline, who's is one of the most accurate draft reporters out there. I think Charlie's number one, but Tony's definitely he's in the top five. I think this is all recorded on the site. There's a link on the homepage that shows like draft accuracy for reporters. And Tony Pauline's like top five. So he says if the Bears go pass catcher at 9, it's going to be either Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze, which I thought was like it's kind of a weird thing because I just don't know who else it would be. Like I guess like you could always talk about like Brian Thomas maybe joining the mix. People talk about him maybe sneaking into the top 15. But yeah, I mean it's going to be Odunze or Bowers. But of course, like There's the caveat of if the Bears go pass catcher. So I think the Bears could go offensive lineman if they trade down, especially if they trade down. Unless Joe Walt's available, then maybe he's a pick there. But if they trade down, they could go offensive lineman. They could also trade down for a pass rusher. They could even take a pass rusher at 9. It could be like if Dallas Turner falls to them, I think that's a great pick for them. Or Jared Verse. I think 9 is a little too early for Verse. So if they trade down a few spots, like for example, if the Colts jump up and try to get a receiver like Rome Odunze, then the Bears at 15 taking Verse would make a lot more sense. They have Montez Sweat, but they could use another pass rusher for sure. Chris says anything. Great. Who would win in the over the top battle royale between you, Charlie, Jacob, Kenny, and Tom? Okay, well, not me. I'm 41 and I'm old. Now, if this were me 20 years ago, I used to swim competitively, and I used to like work out like 4 hours a day. I don't know if I have like pictures of my like 21-year-old self online, but like I was so jacked. But now I am 41, so I'm over the hill, as I would say. Charlie is a year older than me, but he's super ripped. He works out a lot. I haven't worked out as much with the two kids. So I think Charlie's in better shape than I am. My money would be on Jacob because Jacob is the youngest of us by far. Kenny's my age. Kenny's exactly my age. We were in high school together the same year. Tom is he said on the show he's 37. So Charlie's 40. So the ages here are 41, 42. I think Jacob's like 26 or 27, and then Kenny's 41 and Tom is 37. So like Jacob is the youngest one by far. So I think Jacob would kick our butts. I think. I think I don't know. Maybe he'd think differently, but he's got youth on his side for sure. John says, "Evening Walt was waiting for that page." Yeah, it took a while. I'm sorry it took so long. We had to transition to WordPress. Knock on wood. So I'm knocking on wood right now. Hopefully the site stays up for the draft this year. If you guys remember, I don't know if you remember, but last year the site was down during the entire first day of the draft, which is so brutal because all of our like a big chunk of our revenue comes during the draft. Like it's like the 3 days of the draft are our 3 biggest days of traffic, like by far. It's not even close. And it really carries us over to the summer because May, June, July, and the first half of August, like traffic is way down on the site because no one's coming to the site because there's nothing going on in the NFL. Now, like there's a couple days, like the NBA draft that's a little helpful. If there's a big trade, people will come to the site, but for the most part, no one's coming to the site until mid-August, which is when fantasy football starts gearing up. So like the days of the draft are supposed to like carry us over in the summer. But we got zero revenue during the first day of the draft, which is so bad. So that's why we had to go to WordPress, and going to WordPress, I feel like the site looks better. In my opinion, I don't know, like maybe you guys think differently, but I think it looks better right now. It looks more modernized, like whereas before it looked like a GeoCity site. Because I mean that's basically what it was. I made it in 1999, and that didn't really change it. So there's some advantages, and I think the site staying up is an advantage. Like I said, knock on wood, but the disadvantage was like there are some features that were difficult to carry over, and like they were features where like we have like a database and stuff like that. So transferring the database to WordPress was difficult, but it got done. Like there's still a couple things missing. Like for example, on this page, it doesn't show the date of these reports. So I don't know. I'm sure that's possible, but like we're still working out the kinks and everything. So again, apologize for the delay. That's why it took so long. But yeah, hopefully it's gonna be smoother as in our second year on WordPress coming up, and hopefully the site stays up there in the draft. Chris says, please provide full order of eliminations as well. Assume WWE rules apply. Should have asked 2 weeks ago with WrestleMania. Phil. I think that so I would have said Kenny would go out first because Kenny and I are the same age, and Kenny like notoriously like drinks on stream. so like I don't even do that. But Kenny is getting in the shape. He's doing this carnivore diet. So I think I'm last in the pecking order, to be honest. So whereas like 20 years ago, I would have been first. But yeah, I think I'd be out first. I don't know. I don't know about Tom. I don't know about Tom's physique. I haven't seen him in person in a few years. He used to live near me, but he moved down to Florida, so I don't know if he's in good shape. He is playing a lot of video games online. I'll say that doesn't help. So I think like me and Tom will be like first out. I'll have to ask Tom on Thursday or Saturday, and then I'll say Kenny, and then I say Charlie, and then I'll say Jacobs. Like I said, Jacob is the youth on his side, and then Charlie's, like I said, he's Jack. So I think he'll be either first or second. Warco says, "Do you think the comparisons of Harrison to Fitzgerald are over the top, or is it accurate?" I'm so bad with like player comps. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a stud. It doesn't have to be Larry Fitzgerald. It could be another stud receiver. I mean, I think it's hard because like I'm like thinking about Larry Fitzgerald in his like final years, but like yeah, I'm trying to remember how great Larry Fitzgerald was to entering the NFL. Yeah, I think they're about on the same level. Yeah, they're gonna go in top. They're both top 5 receivers, so or top 5 picks who are receivers. So yeah, I think that's definitely accurate. You're Sue says you're not 41. I have good authority that you are 63. Yes, my niece, who's she's 7 years old. She guessed my age and she said I was 63. So that was pretty bad. My nephew said the same thing. I was it was like a couple years ago, and I have 2 nephews, like they're brothers. Right now, one is I believe one is 9 and one's 6. But this is a couple years ago, so they were like 7 and 4, and it was my birthday, and they're like, "Happy birthday!" I'm like, "Yeah, how old do you think I am, guys?" And one was like similar age. He's like 61, and like the other one's like 13. So it's like I forget what the other age was, but if you average it out, it actually equaled my age, which was I thought was pretty funny. And then I even said that to them. I'm like, if you average that out, it's my age. And like my wife's like, they don't know what average means. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Um, so it's funny that like they're just like all over the place. And the kid who said 13, I think it might have been older, younger. He's the 6-year-old or the 4-year-old was, I think he guessed like 7 or 8. I'm like, dude, you think I'm 3 or 4 years older than you? I'm like, I think that's it's a compliment, I guess. Warka says if he goes to the Cardinals, I think the comparison would be made 99% of the time. Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, he's going to compare it to Fitzgerald all the time. Like, they're going to do side by side stat comparisons. This is what Harrison did as a rookie. This is what Fitzgerald did as a rookie. Like, it's going to happen all the time. It's natural. And yeah, if he goes to the Chargers, they're going to compare him to Keenan Allen too. So it just goes with the territory. All right, so let's go back to this. Talk about the Bears. The Redskins. So this top rumor says they have interest in Roman Wilson. Obviously, it's a round 2 thing, and I about a year ago you would have thought this was crazy because the Redskins had Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel, but Samuel's gone and Dotson had a bad second year, so I think the Redskins might be interested in a receiver. And this is before Charlie reported that the Redskins are going on all in at quarterback and turning down offers for the number 2 pick. I think it's pretty evident right now, but Charlie reported that during the combine, I believe. And so yeah, it's definitely come to fruition. The Redskins are not trading out of this pick. Like they're going to go quarterback. We just don't know which one. So new owner Josh Harris is rumored to prefer JJ McCarthy. Executives prefer Drake May. This is according to Ballsack Sports. I don't know who these people are, but someone recommended them to me. So I don't know. Like I don't have any data on those guys. Like I said, we track everything that's reported, but I don't have any data on Ballsack Sports. So like take that with a grain of salt. Charlie said that sources he spoke to who know people in the Redskins organization think that it's going to be Daniels. So that's secondhand information. That's not anything Charlie reporting, but I think it's going to be Daniels personally, but we'll see. So boss saying so Roman Wilson under 57 is a lock. So nothing's a lock. Like this, they could be targeting him in the 3rd round, like theoretically, but I would go under, I guess. But like I said, save all your draft prop questions for Charlie. I think he'll be on Tuesday. Yeah, he made us so much money last year. I told the story before. There was someone, I got sent screenshots and everything, so I know this is true. Someone won like $31,000 using our draft props on Bovada, and Bovada refused to pay them out. And like they were like threatening litigation. I'm like, they're a Costa Rican company. They're just gonna laugh when your lawyer calls them, which was true. Like they didn't go anywhere with it. Like at least Bovada refunded the money that they bet, but they didn't end up getting 31,000 that they won. So let's say be careful with Bovada. I think like the other sports books will pay you out, like DraftKings, FanDuel, Bookmaker, like those are legit sports books. They'll definitely pay you out. But like Bovada, just be wary of them. I'm hesitant to recommend them. Like I always like for my NFL picks, I always post like where the best line is. If you're making like a couple $100 bet, like they'll pay you out. But just be careful like placing huge bets with them because they may not pay you out. I mean, they've paid me every time. Like I haven't had an issue with them, but I know for a fact someone has. So, did Bovada ever pay Charlie? So this is not Charlie, by the way. This is another one. Someone else won 31,000. Charlie won a decent amount. I'm not sure how much. I assume it was a decent amount, but they refused to pay him as well. And no, they haven't. They also paid him back the money he bet, but so I guess they handled that the same way. I don't know why they didn't pay out Charlie. That was weird. So like I said, I have trouble trusting Bovada, even though they've been good to me, but I haven't made like a huge amount of Bovada anyway, so I don't know if I won like a $10,000 bet on Bovada, like I don't think they'd pay me out. So I think I'd bet that somewhere else. Chris saying Bovada is terrible. They locked an account of mine that I had made a ridiculous amount on, albeit betting those broken lines. Yeah, I remember you saying that. You told me about those broken lines, and I was like thinking, it's like, man, I think they're going to lock your account. But I'm not surprised that they did. But like, yeah, Bovada is not trustworthy. Like the other sports books, FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars, Bookmaker, like they can be trusted. It's definitely BS for sure. All right, so Patriots. So the Patriots want Jayden Daniels. Charlie reported this. They love Jayden Daniels more than the other quarterbacks. It's not including Caleb Williams to be off the board, but Jayden Daniels is their preferred option. So I'm guessing that they're really praying that that the Redskins go with Drake May or JJ McCarthy, and so Jayden Daniels will fall right into their laps. So otherwise, like I saw that Peter Schrager posted his mock draft. I think it was a couple days ago, and he seemed to be thinking that the Patriots are going to go with Drake May if Jayden Daniels is off the board, because like they I forget exactly what he said, but he's like they really fell in love with the Charlotte kid. But I don't like that. That doesn't mean that they don't love McCarthy either. But I mean Drake May is just a better prospect. I'd be shocked if they go McCarthy over I guess I shouldn't say shocked. We've seen so many weird things over the years. I'd be a bit surprised, let's just say, like if they go McCarthy over Drake May. Like Drake May is just a better prospect. So the Vikings, so Darren Wolfson, who's a really good team reporter, he said that they really it's two really, so you mean it's the real deal here. They really like Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle. The problem is that the Vikings probably are going to trade up for a quarterback. Like I assume, like I have them number 4 penciled in here. That's because I have them number 4 in my mock draft. Like they've kind of telegraphed that they're trading up. Like they want to move up for a quarterback, and the Cardinals want to trade down. So like I said, I think, like I said yesterday, I think Cardinals Vikings make a trade happen. But the thing is, like, if the Vikings for some reason they believe that, like, hey, we could get a quarterback at 23, maybe move up a few spots, then I think that they would go Byron Murphy at 11. So I think that could work out. But Daniel Jeremiah said the Vikings are aiming to trade it for Drake May. So I think they're hoping that McCarthy goes 2 or 3, which means Daniels goes 3, and that means Drake May goes 4. So if Drake May is available at 4, I imagine the Vikings are definitely going to pull the trigger. If it's McCarthy that they're trading up for, I don't know. Like I don't know if that necessarily happens. So I guess we'll see. I don't have much intel on the Vikings at the moment. Like hopefully do soon. Number 5, the Chargers. So a couple things, like Tony Pauline and Jordan Reed from ESPN. I'm not familiar with Jordan Reed. But he does work for ESPN, so well, I guess that doesn't say much. But they both think that receiver is not going to be the pick at 5. Tony Pauline says the Chargers go tackle or trade down, or maybe both. They trade down for a tackle, and Jordan Reed says offensive tackle has continued to come up when speaking to sources about the Chargers. So, like, everyone's penciling in like Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors to the Chargers. I am too. I have Harrison in my mock draft, but maybe they just go Joe Alt, which is a little weird because they have a left tackle. So, spending the number 5 pick on a right tackle doesn't seem like a great idea, especially after losing Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But yeah, maybe they do it, or maybe they just trade down. Maybe the Cardinals move down from 4 to 11 and then trade up to 5. I've seen that in some mock drafts. I don't remember which mock drafts. It was a prominent mock drafter. It might have been Dane Brugler, maybe, or maybe it was Schrager's mock. No, it wasn't Schrager because he had the Giants trading up. It might have been Brugler's mock draft when he had that happening, and I could see that. I could see it because the Cardinals did something similar last year. Yeah, I mean, they pick up a resource, they give back a resource, but they'll come out on top, and they'll get the receiver that they want, which is Neighbors at 5, and yeah, the Chargers could trade down and maybe get Latham at 11, or Olu Fashanu 11, or Fawaga 11, Fatanu. Like there are a bunch of tackles that get 11. I imagine Joe Alt's not gonna be there, but they can get the second tackle of the choice for sure. Let's see. Marco asking, what program do you usually use to create your mock drafts? Notepad. That's basically it. I've been using Notepad since 1999. It's just I write everything out in HTML, which may sound so archaic, but that's how I learned it. I created the website in internet class in high school. Just to show you how old I am. Like, they had to have an internet class in 1999 because it was brand new. And like, we learned things like, hey, how to set up email. It's just so simple that like simple things like right now that everyone knows. But like back then it was brand new. So they were teaching all the stuff, and like part of the class was making a website. And the teacher was like, oh, make a website about something you like. And I'm like, oh, I like football. Let me just do that. And that's how my site was born. It was the URL was centralhigh.net/wchirp/football.html. And then they wiped out my site from their server in 2004 because I had gambling content. So I had to move to walterfootball.com. So like, if you look on like site history, my site's been live since 04, but it's really since 99. But anyway, like, that's how I learned. It's just like writing out code in Notepad, and then I would upload it using FTP to the old server. Now that I have WordPress, my developer developed a tool for me that I could write out all the mock drafts in Notepad, and then I've something to upload it to. So it's similar. It's not FTP, but it's kind of similar. I could also make it in WordPress if I wanted to. Like, that might be easier if I was learning it for the first time, I might just do it in WordPress. Yeah, it's really just Notepad for me. Jen asking, what percentage you give the Neighbors info? Is that the Cardinals liking Neighbors more than Harrison? If so, that's coming from Mike Jurecki. He said it on his podcast, and Mike Jurecki has 100% draft accuracy. He's never gotten anything wrong with the Cardinals. So I trust them with my draft life. I think he's definitely going to be right about it. Like I said, I've never seen him wrong about the Cardinals at all. So Cassandra's saying setting up email was also a lot more complicated for users back then. True, that's very true. Yeah, it's like which sites to trust and stuff like that. It was, the internet was kind of like the wild west back then. You just didn't know what you were going to find. That's kind of cool, and yeah, I actually, we like, back then you'd go into like AOL chat rooms and whatnot. Actually, my friends and I had 2 best friends in high school. The 3 of us, we would chat up these 3 girls that are like kind of like in the neighborhood over. They're like walking distance is like 15 minutes. Drive, it's like a 2 or 3 minute drive though. And like, we would just talk to these girls nonstop, and like we eventually met them, and we had a fun time. I actually went on a date with one of the girls. She's like really pretty, but I was I was super awkward back then in high school, so like nothing really came of it. But it was a lot of fun, just like the early internet days. Chris saying, by the way, how ridiculous was that very late foul away from the ball call? Yeah, from the Miami Philly game. Hero clearly lost his footing and slipped. So I didn't get to see it. My internet was out, and so my TV didn't work. At least not down here. I couldn't go upstairs because my wife was putting my daughter to sleep, so I couldn't watch the game. I did see it live on the GameCast though, like the play-by-play. And then I saw that Haywood Highsmith got a rebound after a missed shot. And if the Sixers got a rebound at that point, like the Heat probably would have fouled, and the Sixers probably would have covered. But like Haywood Highsmith of all people had to get a rebound. So tilting. At least we got the Adebayo under, so it wasn't a total loss tonight. Stanley asking, hey Walt, if the Giants draft Brock Bowers, do you think that will boost their offense and give them a new identity? I mean, it'll definitely boost their offense. I don't know about new identity. Like they lost Saquon Barkley too. Just, I mean, remember that. Like they lost a big piece of their backfield, and Barkley was such a big weapon for them. I know they signed Devin Singletary, but you know he's not the same. He's not the same sort of player. So I feel like the Giants are going to be worse offensively, even if they get Bowers. Now, if they also draft a receiver in the second round and he turns out to be good, then that'll be something. The problem is that their blocking is still bad. And like, I guess that's their identity right now, is like the team that can't block. They did sign a couple free agents, Aaron Stinney, John Runny, and Jermaine Illuminor. Like those guys are all right. Like, but I don't like, it's nothing great. And I still think they're going to have issues blocking outside of Andrew Thomas. So, like I said, that's their identity. It's just a team that can't block. So that needs to be fixed, I think, more than anything. So I'm kind of like rooting for them to draft Joe Alt. I don't think it'll happen, but I think that would be the smartest move. Or, you know, Harrison, like one of Harrison Neighbors or Joe Alt. I think that's what they have to do. I think taking a tight end, I'm not a big fan of that. They already have Darren Waller. I know Darren Waller may retire, but they still have him. And you know, you can get decent tight ends elsewhere. So I think that they, like I said, I think they need to go tackle or receiver. Cassandra is saying you needed to know the outgoing, incoming SMTP or whatever that was called. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. Jenna saying, don't remember your school years, but do you remember years of you ripping awful Raiders draft one after another around 2006-ish? Yes. I remember making fun of Al Davis and whatnot. With his like quotes about Jamarcus Russell and stuff like that. It was a fun time. So we've a comment from Twitch. This is cool. Thoughts on the Seahawks trading up to get McCarthy? Seems to be a lot of ties between the new Hawks staff and Michigan. I mean, they definitely could do it. I mean, if you're asking my opinion on whether they could do it or if I think they should do it, I think they definitely could do it. They've been meeting with quarterbacks. Although I think that they're meeting with quarterbacks, if I had to guess, I think it's a smokescreen. I think they're trying to get teams to draft these quarterbacks so a better prospect falls to them. I don't think they're going to go quarterback, but I mean, it could happen for sure. Do I think they should though? I would not. I don't like outside of the top three. I mean, I love Caleb Williams and Jane Daniels and Drake May to a slightly lesser extent, but I like all three. After that, I like Penix the best after those three, but Penix has some issues. You know, he's 24. He has injury problems. So like the other quarterbacks in this class, just not a fan of them. So I think if I were the Seahawks, I'd wait a year and maybe get a better pick. And you know, maybe when it's less clutter at the top, you can get like Shedeur Sanders or Drew Aller. I think that makes the most sense for the Seahawks. Warco asking, do you recall how long Jarecki mentioned the Cardinals like neighbors? I'm trying to find the pod. Might have been like 2 weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago, something like that. Yeah, between 10 and 14 days, I think. I found it quite easily on Google, so just do a Google search, you can probably find it. My Dolphin Fin keeps asking again, how many DraftKings tabs does one need to have open at once? So like I've showed you, I've showed other people this before. If you think this is a lot, you haven't seen anything yet. This is just one of many pages I have up. Let me show you exactly what we're dealing with here. So I'm going to stop. Hold on. I'm going to remove this. And then I'm going to share. I'm going to present this share screen of my main page, on my main Chrome tab, rather. All right, let's see. Okay, so you're gonna see some, you're gonna see some infinite things, but yeah, just look at all the tabs at the top. You have how many DraftKings here? You have 5 in a row here. You have a bunch of YouTubes. These are all like music videos that I listen to. And so this is just one of 3 windows I've opened. So Um, it's just, yeah, you're saying I'm kidding. I know. It's just like this is how I deal with things. Like I know everything. I know where everything is. It's just my system. So I'll stop presenting that and I'll go back. But yeah. So this is just one of 3 windows that I have with like so many tabs. I think I have like collectively, I think I have like 160 tabs open at the same time. So my wife always yells at me for it. She's like, "It's like, how do you know where anything is?" I'm like, I actually know exactly where everything is. It's just like this whole system I've set up. Um, let's see. Where will Penix go? Which round? I think he's going to go in the first. I don't know where in the first, but I think he's going to go in the first. I think teams have kind of warmed up to him a lot. Just seeing, just like knowing how much he loves football, like seeing his room like decorated with all those plays. Like I think teams have kind of fallen in love with that. Penix is going to be steal a draft. Dude was unreal the last 2 years. I like him. Of the other quarterbacks, quote unquote, other quarterbacks, I like him the best for sure. So he's saying thanks. I love the show. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. I didn't know I had anyone watching on Twitch. This is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get some more people watching on Twitch. I'm hoping the Seahawks go offensive line round 1, and then trade back 5A spots if needed. Yeah, they could definitely do that. They could probably get a good lineman if they move back a little bit. There's just so many. Like they could probably get Fuaga at 16 or Fatano at 16, or maybe Fashan or Olu Fashano at 16. If they trade back a little bit, maybe Guyton. But they can still get one of those guys. I'm kind of surprised as to hear that your Seahawks are your favorite team, because I would have guessed your Dolphins would have been the Dolphins would have been your favorite team, because my Dolphin 69 is your screen name. So Chris saying, I hope one of those videos is Donkey Kong Country. Yes, 2 of them are. The soundtrack for Donkey Kong Country Returns and the soundtrack for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze are definitely 2 of them. I actually like listening to video game music when I write stuff up, because like listening to music that have lyrics like screws me up when I'm writing, because like like if I'm tired, I'll sometimes write the lyrics in it. I'm like, wait a second, that's not right. So I need stuff that doesn't have lyrics. And I mean, video game music is awesome. And David Weiss is the composer of Donkey Kong Country music. I think he's a genius. Any recommendations for computer specs? I'm not the guy to recommend this. I don't know. I'm not like, despite owning a website, you'd think I'd be technologically savvy. I'm not at all. So the guy to ask is Kenny. Kenny would have been on tonight, but he has an early meeting tomorrow, so he couldn't come on, and he's not gonna be on next week because it's the night before the draft. But in 2 weeks, I believe he will be on. So Kenny is like my go-to guy. If I have questions about that, like I'll ask him. He actually owns the company that hosts the server, which is pretty cool, because in that internet class, he sat right next to me to the right. So when I wasn't working on my site, I was talking to him about fantasy football. Yeah, he's the person to ask. I'm praying Jedfish work out at Washington. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Stanley saying, hey, Walt, why do you have McCarthy as a potential bust? Because I think McCarthy is going to make a bigger impact in the NFL compared to the other prospects that he played in a pro style system. Well, I mean, I'd be careful with that. Jimmy Clausen played in a pro style system and he entered the NFL, and I fell for that trap. That's one of the reasons why I like Clausen so much long ago. I was like, man, he's played on the Charlie Weiss, I mean, NFL ready. He's got some good talent, and he was a total bust. I don't know if the pro style system means anything. In fact, it could be a negative, because like, yeah, he'll be ready right away, but the upside might not be there. Whereas like guys who weren't in a pro style system, like once they learn the pro style system, like yeah, there might be a learning curve, but once they do, like their upside is gonna be higher. So that's something I learned from my mistake. Maybe end of the first team trading up to get him. Yeah, I think that if the Raiders don't go Penix at 13 and he falls, I think the Raiders could trade up from the second round to the first and get him. Um, hey, Chris saying, hey, my Dolphin 69 is on Twitch. Now you can ask where they're tuning in from. Yeah, it's StreamYard is pretty cool. We actually get people watching from LinkedIn too. This broadcast to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and also IBM TV. We have that as well. Don't have Rumble yet. Rumble's not an option for some reason. I don't know why. It should be, but hopefully they have that soon. Fatano from Washington's offensive line coach is now the offensive line coach for the Seahawks. Yeah, I think I saw that. And I was thinking about putting him there in my mock draft, but I know Dallas like loves him, so I wanted to have him to Dallas, but I just don't think he's going to get there. Stanley Singh, I think Bo Nix might be bust potential in the NFL. I totally agree. I don't know why he's first round. I don't know why people are talking about him as the first round prospect. He reminds me of like Christian Ponder, Blaine Gabbert. It's like guys who went in the first who should have gone in the second. It's an inside joke, the Dolphin thing. Yeah, I'm a Hawks fan first and foremost. Okay, that makes sense. I think Caleb will bust. He's too much of a head case, and he loves to erupt the teammates. Well, I mean, some people do not like the pink phone and the lip gloss and all that stuff. You know, I actually asked Kenny about it recently. He's like, I'm not a fan, especially after what he said about Matt Collins. Hulk saying, what do you think the Eagles are going to do? Because I have absolutely no idea which way they will go. Yeah, they could go a number of ways. Right now in my mock draft, I'm taking Amarius Mims, the tackle from Georgia. And like the Eagles are a team that they'll draft like just looking ahead. Think about their past couple of drafts. Like they drafted Jordan Davis a couple years before they thought Fletcher Cox was going to leave. They drafted Landon Dickerson a couple years before they thought that Jason Kelsey was going to leave. Like this is stuff they do all the time. And I think that, they're going to be looking at Lane Johnson. He's 34. And this is a draft class with great tackles. So if I'm the Eagles, if I'm Harry Roseman, just looking at his history, I'm thinking, hey, there's so many great tackles. Let's get one of them at 22. Yeah, he's not going to play right away unless there's injury. But in 2 years, if Lane Johnson's 36 and he's retiring, we have a plug and play right tackle, and he's going to be great. And plus, the Eagles love their Georgia guys. So that's one thing they're going to do. They're going to draft at least one Georgia guy, maybe a couple. So I think they go Amarius Mims at 22. And in the second round, I think they have to grab a corner, maybe the other Georgia guy, Kamari Lassiter. And then I think they have to go receiver as well at some point, like round 2 or round 3, or maybe in round 4. Just because like they have no depth at the position. They have 2 studs and then they have no depth after that. So I think like they have to make sure they have a third receiver is good. Chris asking, well, do you think you're not hiring McCarthy because your brain subconsciously associates him with Mike McCarthy? Actually, I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought of that, but maybe it is, like you said, it's subconscious. So maybe I wouldn't have thought about it, but maybe my brain harkens back to that Kenny rant about McCarthy, which is like one of the all-time travesties that video is deleted. If you guys don't remember or haven't seen it, or I guess you can't see it now, but Kenny, when Mike McCarthy lost, they lost to like the Cardinals or something. No, they lost to the Falcons as like huge favorites, and then McCarthy was fired. Kenny went on like a 10-minute rant where he just kept going, and like I just didn't interrupt him at all. He just like it was like a 10-minute rant about how bad Mike McCarthy was as a coach. It was so great. It was like I was dying. I was like crying. I was laughing so hard I was crying on video. It was so good. And then it had to be deleted because it was a gambling episode, or it's a picks episode, and Kenny's job says he can't. He can't talk about gambling because he's a vice president of the university. So he can't talk about gambling. So he had to delete all the gambling videos. I just wish he would have saved that one clip because it was so good. I was so heartbroken when it was deleted. I wish he still had it. But Kenny is so funny when he gets on those rants. It's the best. John saying I'd be shocked if Williams busts. Name the number one overall pick quarterback that's had a better supporting cast coming to the league. Andrew Luck, maybe. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, usually team drafting first overall is a bad supporting cast. Yeah, I can't think of one. Like, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, I guess. But if Cole Kmet, and maybe they drafted Dunze at 9. Like, it's pretty sick sporting cast, and the offensive line is pretty decent. Can Mims play right guard until Elaine retires? I think he can. Yeah, I think he can. But like they have good interior alignment right now. So like I don't think they need him to play guard in the meantime. You know what I mean? It's like right now in the interior they have they Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, and Landon Dickerson. I guess like he would be an upgrade over Tyler Steen. I think he could definitely play guard. I mean his natural position is tackle, so maybe he's not going to be as good as guard at guard, but he could definitely play guard. So I think it would work out that way. Stanley saying if Caleb Williams goes to the Bears, he will be a bust, but if he goes to Washington, he might have success. Why do you think that? I mean, Chicago is a better supporting cast for sure. John says he's going to the Bears. He will probably have more Allen and Dunze. Yeah, exactly. Chris saying Washington really does appear to be the best landing spot for any of the rookie quarterbacks. I mean, why? Why do you think that? I think Chicago's the better spot. Chicago's a great sporting cast. Washington's offensive lines, they made some good signings, but they still don't have a left tackle really, and they only have one good receiver. They have no tight end. I mean, I like Austin Eckler, but he did have a bad year last year. I think he's going to rebound, but I'm kind of surprised. Multiple people are saying Washington's better for quarterback. I think Chicago is. But yeah, Chicago's terrible. He's got no protection on the Bears' offensive line. I don't know. I think the Bears' offensive line is pretty good. I don't think it's that bad. Last year, I think it was about like league average or slightly better. And they traded for Ryan Bates, so he's going to be he's an upgraded center. And Nate Davis and Tevin Jenkins are good guards. Darnell Wright, they drafted him in the first round. He's going to get better. And Braxton Jones, their left tackle, is not great, but he's pretty solid. So. I don't know. I think they have a good offensive line. And Redskins offensive line. I worry about that. Like they don't have a left tackle. Who is their left tackle right now? I don't think they have one on the roster. Yes, Cornelius Lucas. Like whoever's playing quarterback is going to get run over on the blind side with Cornelius Lucas at left tackle and Andrew Wiley's the right tackle. Like that's not good. I do like their interior, like Biotish, Allegretti, and Cosme. Like that's a really good interior, but their tackles are so bad. And we we're talking about before with Roman Wilson. Maybe he goes third round and Washington takes a tackle in round 2. I feel like they almost need to with given how bad that tackle play is going to be. Because I'm just saying I would rather go to the Bears than the Redskins. Yeah, me too. Stan saying I think Caleb Williams might have success in Washington because he's from that area. Plus, he will reunite with Cliff Kingsbury, who is his offensive coordinator at USC. Okay, it makes sense, but I don't like Kingsbury in the NFL. Like I thought he did a bad job play calling for Arizona. And it might just be different. College it's a different game. It just might be different for him. Slew says, Sam Howell was shell shocked by week 12. Yeah, Sam Howell had a nice start to his season last year. He had 2 great games against the Eagles. And then by week 12, by Thanksgiving, like he looked lost and he just kept getting worse and worse. So I'd worry about whichever quarterback goes there. Although, like I said, adding Biotish and Allegretti was nice. So their line is going to be better than it was last year. But then again, they did lose their left tackle, Charles Leno. So that's a downgrade. They really need a left tackle. Like putting a rookie quarterback behind a line with Cornelius Lucas left tackle, I think it's just irresponsible. Like they need to add a left tackle. Justice Howell holds on the ball longer than Biden's been a politician. That's a long time. But I think you're onto something there. He does hold the ball on forever. He took how many sacks did he take against Buffalo in like week 3? He took like 9 sacks or something. And I remember him just like it was so dreadful. He just held on the ball forever. You're right about that. Samantha saying, will a defensive end get drafted in the top 10? I think Dallas Turner for sure. I think he's going to go either 8 to Atlanta or 9 to Chicago. And then after that, there's a chance that Jared Verse will go 9. I think he will go in the teens though. There's some talk that Latu could go to Denver at 12 if they don't go quarterback. But I think there will be exactly one. Yeah, exactly. It's a good one. Yeah, it's a long time for that. All right, so we did 5. We go to 6. So we have Schefter saying he doesn't see the Giants drafting a quarterback at 6, but he could see them drafting a quarterback early. So I mean, you could take that to mean like, yeah, the Giants are going to draft a quarterback at 4, but I think what Schefter is trying to say is that Giants draft a quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round, which makes a lot more sense because I just don't think they're fit right now to get a quarterback. They have so many holes. Their offensive line's dreadful. They have no number 1 receiver, really no number 2 receiver for that matter. Darren Waller might be retiring soon. Saquon Barkley's gone. Like, this team's a mess, and their defense isn't even that good. So I feel like just drafting a quarterback at 6 or even trading up would be even worse. I think that would just set the franchise back. Unless like the quarterback they draft is an absolute stud, which could happen for sure. But is JJ McCarthy going to turn this franchise around? Like, I don't think so. I think Schefter's right. I think they go either Neighbors, Harrison, or Alt at 6, or unless they trade down. And then 2nd or 3rd round, maybe they go quarterback. Maybe they go Spencer Rattler. Maybe they go Joe Milton, something like that. But I think that makes a lot more sense than going quarterback at 6. So I do think that Schefter was right about that. And Trey Benson drawing heavy interest from the Giants. Giants, like I said, they signed Devin Singletary. I don't think he's the long-term answer. He had a great year last year, but we saw him in Buffalo. He was bad. And so I think the Giants want to draft a running back. It's something else that they're going to do on day 2. So I think they addressed their backfield on day 2, getting a quarterback and a running back. We have nothing on Tennessee, nothing on Atlanta. I'm going to look for that. So in the coming days, I'll try to dig up some rumors, but there just might not be anything. And then we jump to the Jets at 10. Tony Pauline says, no team I spoke to believes Brock Bowers is going to get out of the top 10, which I think is right. I think Brock Bowers goes 10 to the Jets. It just makes so much sense. The Jets have nothing at tight end, and Aaron Rodgers needs another weapon. They signed Tyron Smith, so they don't need a left tackle any longer. And Charlie even said he thinks the Jets are inclined to draft Brock Bowers or Rome Odunze at 10. And Charlie, he famously got like every Jets pick correct in his 2022 mock draft. And which I guess I did too, because I followed Charlie's info. But yeah, Charlie knows he's got great sources there. And so if he's saying it's going to be Bowers or Odunze at 10, it's going to be Bowers or Odunze at 10. So I think there's a better chance that Bowers is on the board than Odunze. But yeah, I think it's going to be one of them. Let's see here. What's this? John says Giants will draft a receiver. Brian Daboll's job is on the line. Yeah, I think so too. But I think that I think that Joe Alt makes a lot of sense as well. But yeah, I think that I think you're right. I think they go receiver because they really, like I said, they don't even have number 2 receiver. Like Darius Slayton's their top guy. Jalen Hyatt showed nothing last year. So yeah, I think you're right. What else do we have here? Athora says center wise, I'm thinking Jackson Powers Johnson is overrated. The Cedric Van Pan face stiffer competition. Graham Barton might be the best center. Like, people project him at guard, but he could play center too. And so I think that he might be the first center off the board. Sam is saying, hey, Walt, what are your thoughts on Michael Hall and Mason Smith out of LSU? Which is the better prospect? So, like, both are talented players, but like both have some issues. So Mason Smith, really good athlete, but he has an injury history. Like, he tore his ACL earlier. I know there have been some other things. So he could fall for that reason. And then Michael Hall is he's also a really good athlete, but he has some off the field issues. So it's like, do you want the guy with off the field issues or injury history? Like that's why these guys who are, I think, first round talents, they're going to go on day 2 just because they have these problems. Chris saying, I like the Washington running backs better. I think receiver is close. Schedule favors Washington, the Giants and Cowboys and NFC South. Okay. It's fair enough. I do like the Washington running backs better. I agree. I don't think receivers close. Like, I mean, if you want to compare McLaurin and Moore, sure, but like the number two in Washington, you have Dotson versus Keenan Allen. Like, I think that's a no brainer. And then look at tight end. You have Cole Kmet versus um, Zach Ertz. Yeah, they're probably going to draft the tight end too. So, yeah, I think Chicago's supporting cast is better. The boss asking, are these rumors from Charlie sources or just online rumors? A mixture of both. I did note. So here, I don't know if like you guys can see it. Maybe I should enlarge. So that I'll say who it's from. So if it says Charlie, then it's from Charlie sources. But this one's from Tony Pauline, who's, like I said before, he's a great draft reporter as well. So yeah, so it denotes who made the rumor and stuff like that. Charlie, Chris asking, I can see this one's gonna cause some trouble. Chris asking, does Charlie have insider info on Aaron Rodgers' last conspiracy theories about AIDS? I I think it was misleading. Like the quote or like the tweet was like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers says the U.S. government created AIDS," but I don't think he actually said that. I think he said something else. I didn't hear the actual quote, but I know like some people were angry about the person reporting it. I think the person reported it was like, I think it was like Dov Kleiman or something like that. I'm not. I've seen the name on Twitter. I'm not familiar with his work. But I think that people were mad about that because he didn't actually say it. But like I said, I didn't hear the actual quote. But I actually responded, I'm like, the U.S. government has done far worse things, which is definitely true. So Chris saying Dave Allen for now, he'll miss games. He will miss games, but he will play some games too, you know. Stanley asking, hey, Walt, do you think Xavier Worthy's a better prospect than Jalen Hyatt coming out? Yeah, I do. I think when Jalen Hyatt went like third round, right? Or did he? I think it was. Yeah, I think he went third round. Like, I think Worthy's going to go. I think he has a chance to go first round. I think he'll go second for sure. Yeah, Jalen Hyatt went third round. So yeah, I think he's definitely better. Cassandra's saying sick of the media and their anti-Rodgers socio-political campaign. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like it's they do this with so many people. They lie about what they say. And it's just basically a crusade against them. And it's just because like Aaron Rodgers spoke out against the alleged vaccine, you know. Like people are just mad about that. And just because like I call them bootlickers. Like that's what they are. Like why do you care so much about what Aaron Rodgers says? Like a guy should have his own opinions. Just let him have his own opinions. Like you could disagree. Like you don't have to be mad about it, and you don't have to like misrepresent what he says. We're saying people are rarely misquoted on the internet from Abel Lincoln. Yes, I'm sure he said that. Danny said, "How many quarterbacks go first round April 25th?" Earlier, a couple weeks ago, if you asked me this, I would have said, actually, a month ago, if you asked me this, I would have said 4. A couple weeks ago, I would have said 5. Now I'm thinking all 6 go because, man, the offenses last year was so brutal. Like the scoring goes way down. I think teams are desperate to make changes. I think 5 for sure. I think 5 for sure, and it might be 6. I think. I feel like Penix is going to go first round. I think Bo Nix is the big question mark, but I think Denver really likes him, and I like Denver's probably the only team that likes him. It kind of reminds me of 2 years ago when at Kenny Pickett, like the only team that liked him in the first round was the Steelers, and they took him. If the Steelers didn't draft Pickett, he would have fell to the second round. I think it's the same way. I think they're like all it takes is one team, and I think Denver might pull the trigger on Nix at 12 or even trade up for him, which is kind of crazy. Cassandra says, especially Coward. And then Chris has hated Coward. He's the worst. I don't know. I don't even listen to Coward. It's not because of anything that he's ever said that I've hated. I just like from what I've listened to him like in the past, like I just found him uninteresting. And like he just didn't seem to have like any new ideas or anything like that. So I just never watched him or but I guess like from what you guys are saying, I imagine I would not like him either. Sam's saying, if the Lakers beat Denver in the first round, do you think this will be the biggest screw job in NBA history? Well, I mean, the Suns might have something to say about that. The Kings might have something to say about that, you know. So I don't think it will be, but I don't know. Like, why do you think it'll be a screw job? Just because the Nuggets get the Lakers? I don't think the Nuggets are going to lose to the Lakers. I do think the Sixers will beat the Knicks, though, if you're looking for an upset. And it's just 'cause the Sixers are 32-8 with Joel Embiid. And they're like, what are they, 15 and 29 with Adam. It's just a completely different team. Chris says, I think it's more likely Denver sweeps them. At least that's my hope. Yeah, they swept them last year, although like almost every game was close. Like it could have been like 4-2, it could have gone 6. With some better luck for the Lakers. It just felt like the Lakers got the bad end of the stick like every time in all those games. So I don't think it's gonna be a sweep. I think it'll be like 4-1, 4-2. But I do think Denver's gonna win. Cassandra's saying, I do think that Coward fell out with ESPN. That must mean he's doing something right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've been asked about this. Like, I have some friends who are like, they're like, why don't you ever work for ESPN? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, ESPN never hired me. I say way too many controversial things. So I take that as a badge of honor that ESPN would never hire me. But that is a good thing. But like I said, I haven't listened to Colin Cowherd. I listened to him like a couple times. This is like a decade ago, and I'm like this guy's kind of boring. I'm just not gonna listen to him. And so I haven't listened to him since. So I don't know what he says. So asking, are the Sixers worth a flyer to win it all at 22-1? I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I don't think it's the worst bet. But like I think they are the second best team in the East. Like the problem is there's two issues. Like one, the Celtics are just so much better. I guess like Jason Tatum could always roll his ankle, and the Sixers could win. But the second problem is like going with that thinking, like Joel Embiid always gets hurt, like always. I can't remember a playoff run where he didn't get hurt. So he's going to be playing all the time. Like there are no games off. It's not like they're going to rest him in the playoffs, and his body just falls apart so easily. All it takes is for him to Joel Embiid hurt his back. Okay, Sixers are done. So maybe a small bet, but that's it. That's all I do. Let's see. John says, I'm kind of interested in the Pat McAfee, Bill Belichick draft show. Did not have time on the bingo card last year. Did not have that on the bingo card last year. Yeah, I heard good things about it too. I heard Belichick was actually funny, which is not surprising because he's like so stoic in post game interviews, but like he does that intentionally. I think like he's a sharp guy. Like I think that he could be funny. I've heard Andy Reid is kind of like the same thing. Like in person when he's not on camera, I heard he's like actually funny. But like what he like freezes up in person. We're saying I like how the Bucks appear to go out of their way to dodge Philly. I wouldn't be shocked if the Pacers win that series. My dad, for what it's worth, predicted the same thing. The Pacers played no defense. That's the problem. But like the Bucks are so poorly coached that you could be right. I could see that happening. Danny asking, does Blake Corum go first or second round? I think Harbaugh picks him up for the Bolts. Well, not first. I don't see any running back going in the first. Second, maybe. I think third round is probably where he's going to go. I think only one running back goes in the second round. This is a really bad running back class. I think Trey Benson goes in the second round. If Jonathan Brooks weren't coming off a torn ACL, I think he would go second round for sure. But he has that injury, so I don't think he's going to play much this year. So yeah, you're looking at Benson, Brooks, and then Corum. It's a really bad running back class, but I imagine someone's going to be really good coming out of it. All right, so we have Arizona here. I talked about Jarecki said that Neighbors over Harrison Jr., but Arizona really wants to trade down, so just keep that in mind. If you do mock drafts or mock draft contests or bet the draft, like if Arizona stays the 4, it's gonna be Neighbors, but they're probably going to trade down. Number 12, we have Denver. So Sean Payton really wants to trade up for a quarterback. I heard this as well. That like Cecil Lamey is a really good draft reporter for the Broncos. He's up there with like record wise with Jarecki. He says, quote, I bet if George Patton had his way, Laiatu Latu would be the pick at 12. But pretty certain Sean Payton wants to do something different. And then, you have this report saying that Sean Payton wants to trade up, which is, I think what Cecil said as well. So that's what I was saying yesterday. Like, everyone's saying, oh, like I think, some people are saying that the Broncos are going to stay at 12. Ben Wassley, who was on the show with me last week, he said that he would trade down if he was Denver and then take Bo Nix, which I think is correct. But from this reporting, it sounds like the Broncos are going to trade out for Bo Nix, which is like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Like, Bo Nix shouldn't even be going in the first round. First of all, you're going to trade off for him. It'd be even worse than the Bears trading up for Trubisky. Now, like, they went for 3-2, so not as egregious. But if the Broncos give up like a significant pick next year to do that, like, that would be one of the all-time blunders. I think. Like just way to not read the room and like know that like no one else wants Bo Nix. So we'll see what happens. But Denver could really embarrass themselves during the draft. So the Raiders, Charlie posted this today. He said the Raiders are strongly considering Michael Penix, a tackle or a cornerback at number 13. So Charlie said that the Raiders could trade up for Penix from the second round to the first. They could take a tackle or they could take a corner. He specifically mentioned Quinion Mitchell as a corner at 13. So we were talking about like Quinion Mitchell under 13.5 or over 13.5, which sounded pretty good. But that's like the fly in the ointment there. Like he could go 13 to the Raiders, but I still think I'd go over 13.5. But yeah, like I said, I would ask Charlie any draft prop stuff when he's on the show next week. Chris saying the Chargers just added the ghost of J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, we'll see if he can stay healthy. This is another guy who always gets hurt. Just it's a shame. He's got talent. It's just like after all these injuries, like I just don't know if he can run well anymore. It's funny that the Chargers just like acquired Baltimore's backfield. Like Baltimore, like notoriously like horrible at running the ball, and the Chargers like, oh, let's take all the Raven running backs for some reason. Obviously they had the coordinator there, but still, it just doesn't make sense. Stanley asking why the Giants are more invested in Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. So what the organization see in Jones. Well, I mean, Daniel Jones had a good year in 2022. He's never had a great offensive line in front of him. He's never had a great number one receiver. He had Saquon Barkley missing a year with the torn ACL, and then the next year coming back from the torn ACL when he was not 100%. So I don't think Daniel Jones has ever had a fair shake with the Giants. And I know he was terrible last year. Like he looked so bad. Tyrod Taylor looked better in the same conditions. But we've seen Jones play well in 2022. And I want to see how he looks with a good offensive line and a number one receiver. Like I think he could actually be a decent quarterback. Maybe not great, but he could be a solid starter, I think. He's got talent. So I think that's what they see in him. But they have a lot of rebuilding to do. Like the Giants the Giants roster right now is so bad. Chris saying the thin air is getting to Peyton. They need to rebuild almost the entire roster before setting the clock on a quarterback rookie contract. Totally agree. I think Sean Payton. It feels like he almost feels like he's mailing it in at this point. Like this is like his retirement. This is like pre-retirement almost. I don't know. I think that like he just wants his franchise quarterback because he knows he can't win without one. But the problem is like he's not in a position to get one. And so I feel like they're just going to screw it up. Cassandra's saying the Broncos shouldn't be allowed to trade away any significant picks for a very long time. Then like the NBA made a rule because the Knicks kept trading picks, first round picks. So there's like you can't trade consecutive first round picks. Like they actually like put in a safeguard for the Knicks. I don't know. Maybe they'll do that for Denver. Danny's saying Bo Nix is trash. He left Auburn. Yeah, he just seems like a career backup to me almost. I don't think he's first round material. I just don't get it. All right, so we'll go down. Nothing on the Saints, Colts. We'll try to get stuff on them later. Seahawks. This is just a quote from John Schneider. He says Seahawks have a lot to figure out on the offensive line, which goes without saying. They lost every single member of the interior offensive line this offseason. So they need 2 new guards in the center. So they could take Fatanu at 16 or Fuaga, have them play guard. Maybe if they trade down, get Graham Barton or Jackson Powers Johnson, something like that. They need interior offensive line play for sure. So this is from Ed Eric Edholm today. He says keep an eye on Cincinnati for a spot for Jalen McMillan. So this is this could be a 3rd-round prospect, but the Bengals need a receiver. T. Higgins is franchise. He may not be there much longer. Tyler Boyd's gone. So the Bengals are a team that could draft a receiver. I don't think they're going to draft one in round 1, but like round 2 onward, I feel like they're going to draft at least 1, maybe 2 receivers. So the Rams, the Rams organization flew out to Happy Valley, which is where Penn State is, to have a private meeting with Chop Robinson. It's from Jordan Schultz. So I thought this is significant because a lot of late meetings is like teams like almost tipping their hand. Like early on, they want to kind of like mislead other teams and like what they're doing, but like late in the process, they're like, okay, like let's make sure we can meet with our guys. So if the Rams draft Chop Robinson in 19, I wouldn't be surprised. They definitely need a pass rusher. Okay, the NBA rule is the Cavs, the Stapien rule. Okay, all right, wrong orange and blue colored Eastern Conference team, which the Cavs were orange and blue before. Okay, so yeah, I don't know why I thought it was the Knicks. I remember like Isaiah Thomas just like recklessly training first rounders, but I guess it was the Cavs. Okay, Chris saying please do not besmirch Isaiah Thomas in front of me, a guy who is very skilled at finding talent in the draft at Toronto and then traded away all his picks in New York. That's why I thought it was New York. Like he traded all of his 1st-round picks away for some reason, which I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. But yeah, it did seem like he was a decent GM, and then he just really screwed up in New York. But yeah, I mean, great player. Loved watching him play back in the day. Steelers. So Tony Pauline is saying speculation is that the Steelers will draft Graham Barton at 20, and the Steelers just had a top 30 visit with him. So the Steelers always draft players they have top 30 visits with. Some teams will never draft, like the Packers. They'll never draft players they have top 30 visits with. The Steelers will always do it. It's funny how teams just do it differently. The Dolphins have met extensively with Laiatu Latu. This is from Simon Clancy, who covers the Dolphins. I think he's a decent reporter from what I remember. So yeah, they show a lot of interest in him. That's why I have him going in my mock draft right now. The Dolphins need edge rushing talent. Just because think about the division they're in. They have Josh Allen, they have Tua, and the Patriots. They might get a franchise quarterback. So the Dolphins need to work on the edge rush, and they couldn't pressure Mahomes at all. So that's something that needs to change. So the only thing I have for the Eagles is Sal Palantonio saying the Eagles could target a running back in the draft, which I thought was a little weird because they have Saquon Barkley, but Sal obviously means like not round 1 or round 2 even. Like I think mid-round, but I don't even know like why he would say this. Like like teams draft running backs all the time, so I could definitely see that happening. So I have I don't know why this shouldn't be here. So Jordan Morgan is associated with the Cowboys a lot, according to Daniel Flick. I think Jordan Morgan could go late 1st round. Dallas definitely one of the spots for him. I think Tyler Guyton is the pick if he's there, unless Troy Fautanu's there. So I think it's like Fautanu and then Guyton, and then I think if both are gone, I think Jordan Morgan would be the pick. Like I'd be shocked if they don't go left tackle. So nothing on these teams. I'll try to find stuff later on. I don't know why Jordan Morgan's showing up for all these teams. That needs to be fixed. So something on the Panthers, who normally would have the first pick, but they don't. So Tony Pauline said Mike Sainristil, the cornerback from Michigan, is a possibility of top round 2 for the Panthers. It feels like the Panthers have bigger needs, though. I think they need to address the offense, but if they go corner, Sainristil is definitely an option for them. Sue 555 super chat. Thanks so much, Sue. Again, really appreciate it. Sue says you are working too hard. Over an hour in, you're getting shut out. Not gonna let that happen. Flyer choice, non-Celtics Nuggets, if not the Sixers. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, so we have FanDuel right here. Let's look at NBA. So I do think Sixers 22-1's pretty decent. Like that's great odds for them. The problem is like I feel like Embiid's just gonna get hurt, Okay, so yeah, Celtics are the favorite. I think they're gonna win. Nuggets won last year. They could do it again for sure. Okay, so let's go team by team. Like the Bucks, 14-1. They're very poorly coached. I don't think they do it. Mavericks, 15-1. I don't think they're a complete team. Clippers, 15-1. They have a bunch of chokers in the roster, like James Harden, Paul George. Like they notoriously choke. So not them. Thunder, 16-1. I don't know. Like they're the one seed. Like they're really not that good. It says Sixers here 16-1. So you have a good number of 22-1. I again, like I think I'd bet a little bit on it. I wouldn't go nuts. Minnesota 20-1. I don't know. I don't know about them. I think they're a decent team. I don't see them beating Denver though. Here's a good one though. Suns at 20-1. Like they have so much talent. I believe they are. What are they? I think they're the 6th seed, if I remember correctly. Just looking at the record. Yeah, they're the 6th seed. So they have to play Minnesota in the first round. I think they beat Minnesota. They have so much talent. Like I think like talent wise, like they're definitely up there. But they're a veteran team, and like they felt like they slacked off a lot in the regular season. Like they had that one game where they just got destroyed by the Clippers. It just wasn't competitive, and then they came back and played well. I think like they're a team that could win it. I think if I were to bet one team that's not the Celtics or Nuggets, I think it would be the Suns at 20-1. But again, just be careful with the NBA because like NBA is usually chalk. Like it's rare for like a long shot to come and win. It could happen, but it is pretty rare. So yeah, Suns at 20-1. That would be my pick. So Lakers 20-1. I think they're too old. Knicks 30-1 is a trap. It's funny that the Knicks at the 2 seed have lower odds than the Sixers at the 7 seed. Cavs are 45-1. I just don't think they have the offensive talent to do it. They're a great defensive team, but they have trouble scoring at times. Heat are 65-1. They're too old. Pacers 80-1. They're too young, and they play no defense. Kings 100-1. I don't think that's the craziest thing, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I said, these longer shots. I'll say that Tom likes the Magic at 160-1. I think he's a year too early, but I don't know who they play in the first round. They're the 4-5 matchup, so they play Cleveland round 1. I think Cleveland beats them, but yeah. So like I said, Suns 20-1 is where I'd go, and then Sixers 22-1 is not bad either. Okay, you just have to stomach the Embiid injury. It's gonna happen. All right, so yeah, once again, Slew, thank you so much. Chris saying, I feel the same way about the Clippers. I think they have a great chance, but it requires their stars to stay healthy for 2 months. Yeah, and they choke too. I just don't know. I just don't see it happening. Yeah, Ethra saying Embiid finally going to get injured on Jalen Brunson block since there's no Julius Randle. Yeah, yeah, he's going to get hurt somehow, some way. It'll happen. Jenon, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It says best email to reach you. No big deal if you don't want to give. Yeah, it's at the bottom of my website. It's WPC 112. Oh no, actually it's not there anymore. It used to be. Okay, so is that the case for every page? I used to have my email at the bottom of my website, but it's not there anymore. So yeah, it's WPC 112. So W is in my first name, P is in Paul, C is in cat, 112 at gmail.com. Yeah, so that's the best way to reach me. You can also send me a message on Twitter or Facebook. I'll try to get to it somehow. So you could if it's if it's a pressing matter, just send it to all three. Or just contact me on here too. So if like I'll see it somehow. Chris saying Suns are 6 up against the Wolves, the Nuggets, Lakers, tough road. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, any team in the West faces a tough road. But like I was saying, I just think that they have the most talent. They're not the most talent, but like they have a lot of talent for a team that's 20-1. Yeah, they have so many guys who can come up big in the clutch too. I think they could definitely win it. Magic versus Cavs, yeah. Yeah, I think the Cavs take that one. The Magic have collapsed at the end of the season. They look better before, but I don't know what happened to them at the end. So yeah, I think that's about it. I have to. It's 1 a.m. I have to drive to Trenton, to go to the Trenton Thunder baseball stadium to submit my Rainmakers lineups, which they're all done. I just have to upload them and then just head out. So hopefully my daughter doesn't wake up while I'm gone. My wife will be in charge until then. But yeah, thanks so much, guys, for commenting and watching. Just really appreciate it. Thank you, especially to Slew for 5.55 and Degeneron for $5. Really appreciate you guys. Like I said, this would be like $1.30 at most show. For one's for you guys, so the 10.55 in total. Just really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. I don't know if Tom's gonna be on. He said he's going to be either tomorrow or Saturday, so it could be both. Just don't know his schedule. He hasn't contacted me yet, but I will be on regardless, talking more draft stuff. But yeah, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that mean a lot to us. Check out the book as well. That is Jerks of the College Years on Amazon. You can get paperback or Kindle version. So yeah, either way, it would be another way to support the show. Last question here. Stanley asking, hey, Walt, do you think the Sixers are going to beat the Knicks when the Knicks are 3-1 against them in the regular season? I think they blew them out the one game with Joel Embiid playing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Sixers are 32-8 this year with Embiid. Did Julius Randle play in that game? Because he's out now. So the Knicks are a different team. I just don't think they're the same team. And the Knicks are notoriously like, they're notorious for like being great in the regular season and just falling flat in the playoffs, and I just think that's going to happen again. I think Thibodeau, that's a specialty. Like, he gets his players to work hard all the time in the regular season, and by the time the playoffs roll around, like they're all gassed. Like, it's just way too long of a season for them to happen. So for them to keep playing like that. Sue says, thanks, good night. And now you can buy more peppermint oil. Yeah, now, especially now that I know where it is. And it's not even called peppermint oil. It's not even oil. It's so stupid. But yeah, that's a reference to Jerks of the Week. So check that out as well. Thanks, Mike. So yeah, thanks to everyone once again. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow and have a good night.